Good evening, Jeopardy fans. We are live here on hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel, presented by thejeopardyfan.com. It is June 13th, 2016, Monday night at 8:05 Eastern. Once again, I am Andy Saunders, and I will be moderating tonight's panel. We have a panel with a champion on it, a challenger on it, and an alumni. First up, we've got the returning panelist here to Jeopardy Live panel, Aria Gerson. I've lost count on the number of times you've been on, but thank you for joining us once
12,
again.
maybe, or 11, I don't remember.
That feels like it's about the right number. I tried to go back and count at some point, but I suspect I haven't quite tagged all of the ones you've been in on the site, but there have been quite a few. And now the two people who were on in the past week. First up, we've got, you know what, I'm going to introduce Torrey Livenick first. She was introduced first on Wednesday's episode, so I will introduce her first. So, Torrey, thank you for joining us. You were a law student, so well, I guess you could say one of the 4 food groups of Jeopardy contestants, as apparently Maggie has said many times.
What can I say? We have a lot of useless knowledge and a lot of time.
And
a lot of time.
It's, well, compared to working as a lawyer.
And about to have a debate, or start a debate, on the merits of law school versus actually being an attorney. Hunter Appler, congratulations on your, at this point, I'm going to say 3 wins, because I'm going to pretend we have not seen a result from Monday's episode yet, though I'm sure if you're tuning in on the East Coast, you have. But congratulations on your 3 wins so far.
Well, thank you so much.
Though I will say we are going to talk about something that was brought up during the interview segment a little bit later on. But once again, if you've got any comments for the panel, of course, you can use the hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel, and I will read them out. My first thing, the usual thing off the top, I talk about the Learned League Rundle that has been created for Jeopardy Live Panel alumni, and I feel like a broken record off the top about this, but once again, Tom Kelso is in the lead, looking for his 2nd consecutive championship. Claudia Corriere sits in 2nd. Kyle Webb Dietzel is in 3rd. Drew Sheeler sits 4th. Yours truly is in 5th spot. And no, that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't want to speak about a match day in progress.
Yeah, just as long as you don't mention Friday's match.
Friday's match was interesting for me, in the respect that Jennifer Morrow appeared to forget how to play defense. By the way, for the uninitiated who do not know Learned League, you can find it at learnedleague.com, and it is an online trivia league in which I guess the quickest way of describing it for everyone, you answer 6 questions a day. It's a one-on-one match against an opponent, and you assign defense to your opponent, so they get the number of points for each question that you assign for them. You have a choice of 0, 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3, and essentially you give 0 points to the question that you are sure they are going to get right, and 3 points to the question that you are sure they are going to get wrong. And whoever has the most points at the end of each match wins the match.
Well,
so go ahead.
I was just going to say, on Friday, I was playing Melander E in my regular rundle, and I lost to him 3 times in a row before. I was playing Keith Williams in the private rundle, and I managed to get a 0-0, and then I tied Melander E 0-0 to 0-1 in the regular rundle, and then I lost to Keith 0-0 to 9-5, and I was like, what is this?
I have any idea what that means.
It means I played really good defense for one person and really bad defense for the other person at the same time.
Mm-hmm. It was a really weird match day. So, I kind of want to go chronologically here. Obviously, you guys were in the audience watching Monday's game, and one recurring segment I like to talk about is hashtag Know Your Canada. And well, there was a Canadiana category on Monday, and
I remember that.
My first question, Anna, of course, being from Hamilton, Ontario. Do you guys remember what her reaction was in the audience to that Canadiana category?
I don't think I was sitting near her at the time, so I didn't notice any reaction. It's hard to say.
You know, I don't really. I think I remember her getting a little bit excited about that category. I don't remember anything in particular. I'm sure that Trebek was very excited.
Trebek usually is very excited when Canada comes up.
And then his hopes are crushed when the players don't know it. Like what they said, someone said like Regina was in Ontario, right? Wasn't that what happened?
At one point, oh God.
I remember there being Regina in there somewhere.
I'm going to quickly make my way over to J Archive to No, Regina came up in the last Canada category, but this one, the one that kind of tripped everyone up was the Canadian version of "This Land Is Your Land," and how they speak of from Bonavista in this land paired with Labrador to Vancouver Island, and of course nobody got it, and I was even sad playing at home because I have friends in Bonavista, but oh well. But
I take no responsibility for wrong answers on the Canadian questions. Was not involved in the round.
Of course, I don't blame you. It's certainly not your fault. You were in the audience. You weren't actually playing.
You know, something that reminds me of something that's funny. In the weeks after taping, there was a question I was kicking myself for not answering correctly because it was in my study materials. I should have known it, and again, just so frustrated with myself. And then when the episodes from last week aired, I realized it wasn't even in one of my episodes. It was somebody else's episode. I was sitting in the audience, frustrated that I didn't remember the correct answer.
Though I think that almost as much speaks to how much it all kind of blurs together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It does.
No, I'm just looking at my chart here on of Wednesday's game. Now, you were mentioning, Torrey, that in your game, or on Twitter, that somebody was giving you a hard time for getting a question wrong.
Yes.
I mean, my notes are telling me right here that happened exactly once. That you got exactly one question wrong the entire game.
Well, two if you count Final Jeopardy.
Well, that.
But yes, apparently not knowing things about musical theater is a crime. Twitter was very upset that all three of us did very badly in that category.
Are you referring to the John Travolta, right?
Of course. I mean, he at least played her in the movie.
No, that's true.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't remember who it was, and I know a lot about theater stuff, and I didn't even remember who it was. I was like, well, it's not John Travolta. And I was like, yeah, I got nothing.
But again, I mean, if people are upset that, I mean, you guys did get 4 of the 5, in that category in Tony winning music in the Tonys category. So again, sometimes you know what, I will just chalk that up. Sometimes Twitter confuses me.
That's probably yeah. There was somebody about I can't believe they're blowing this category or something like that. It was pretty hilarious.
It's weird when people tweet about the show and it's pretty clear that they weren't actually watching the show based on the things that they said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At least not
I haven't
very close.
seen that. That's bizarre.
Like,
I think it happens more often when Jeopardy goes semi-viral. At least,
Oh, yeah.
when somebody misses a sports question, that's one of the sports sites picks up on it, and then people start piling on, and it's never a good time. Now, what was it like? I guess you obviously watched Stu beat Kelly Monday, and then he won again on Tuesday. Then, of course, your names both got called. What were your respective feelings going into that match about having to play Stu?
I was actually more worried about playing Hunter, so that was probably the smart move there.
Yeah. Well, Torrey and I had kind of been.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Hunter and I got paired up for everything pre-taping for some reason.
I think
Fate wanted us.
I think it started in the van on the way to the studio, if I recall.
Yep. So we sat next to each other in the van. They made us fill out paperwork next to each other when we were doing the before the show, all the technical stuff. They made us do all that together. So of course, then we got called up together.
It's funny. I don't normally recall that really happening with other groups. I could be wrong, but it's not a story I've actually heard before on Jeopardy Live panel. Some of the things I do hear often, and I mean I bring them up because often I get new viewers and listeners, but that's a new one for me, that's for sure. So obviously, Torrey, you're saying, obviously so far I would say with how Hunter has done that clearly you might have been right to be more worried about him than Stu, but other than that, like what I guess what feelings did you have going up against Stu, Hunter?
Well, obviously, when you're going up against somebody who's already won a game, and of course you always are if you're being called up. But
unless you're incredibly lucky and the game before you finishes in a 0-0, but.
Yeah, I suppose that's possible. But you're nervous. You're thinking this person obviously must know more than me. I say obviously. It's not really backed up by any clear logic, but that's sort of the feeling. If we're talking about how it feels, that's the feeling. Is that obviously this person must know more than me. And as any contestant will tell you, knowing it all isn't the entire game. It's also reaction time. And we were going up against a pilot. So the reaction time odds also seems stacked against us. And I think it was. I think it causes you to rise to the level of your competitors, and obviously both Stu and Torrey were great competitors, and I think that's why I rose to that level.
It's funny how you mentioned Stu's reaction time, and I'm looking here. His buzzer stats don't seem to be too much out of the ordinary. Definitely not to your level, Hunter. That's for certain.
Well, it's not always reaction time though, because sometimes some people like to try to wait for the lights, and some people try to don't, and so sometimes it's just being able to get in at the right moment. It's not even exactly reaction time. So.
Yeah, and there's always being too fast.
Yeah, that happened to me on my show. I was too fast.
I was, when we were doing the warm-ups, I will tell you, I was categorically the worst on buzzer reaction time.
As in, you kept on locking yourself out?
I kept going one or the other, one or the other. Thankfully, I guess I finally got into the groove during the game, so
That's good.
Well, that is the important time to get into the groove.
Yeah, like I was like after the first commercial break on my show, I got in on the buzzer like once, and so Maggie had to come talk to me about like she's like, remember you have to like wait, and I'm like, yeah, I know. So I was doing so badly.
I can't even tell you right now, and I don't even think I could tell you then what my buzzer strategy was. I know I intended to wait for the lights. You know, whether that was wise or not, that was my plan. I don't know if I did or not. It may have just been the rhythm of kind of listening to Alex's voice and getting a sense of how long after that I ought to click in or bring in, but I really couldn't tell you what my strategy was.
You know what? I think I really like that answer. I think that's may in fact be the hallmark of somebody who has the buzzer down, is to not really be sure of how it works, just that it's working and it's working well. Now, obviously, both of you on Wednesday's show got to play a daily double rather late in Double Jeopardy in that game. Do you wish though either of those bets or anything else had gone any differently?
I mean, I'm sure we all wish that things could have gone differently. We both could have wagered more. I could have gotten his daily double. That would have been nice.
Boy, yeah, I'm trying to remember Wednesday's daily double. I remember the one I had in.
It was in blended. This is the one
It
I
was the
referring to.
Frankenfood.
Yes.
Oh yes, Frankenfood.
Yes,
right.
And I was like mentally going, miss it, miss it, miss it. It's Frankenfood, miss it.
Well,
I did that in my game.
We were very close at that point in score, so.
I think I'm a risk-averse wagerer. Again, for better or for worse. I'm not going to say I wish I weren't, but I know that I am. And looking back now, and not just because I got it right, but I think I probably should have wagered more, only because the category was sort of a word game type category, and I tend to do at home, so I probably should have been a little bit bolder, but I played it on the safer side, and still just barely managed to get out alive.
I've been going back and looking at the early games in Ken Jennings' run, and I'm going to bring him up a little bit later on. But I mean, it took him quite a few games to I guess build up a tolerance to betting a little bit more on daily doubles. He was definitely a smaller bettor, as it were.
I mean,
especially in his early games.
I keep seeing tweets from like Alex Jacob and stuff. It's like you should just bet it all on the daily double, like no matter what it is. And I'm just sort of like, I mean, Alex Jacob is like a professional poker player, so I mean, not all of us are willing to take risks that much.
Well, also the thing is, Alex Jacob, as he has shown to everyone, he knows a lot more than the average contestant does as well. So that, I would say, is almost as important. Like, I mean, if you're even 65 or 70% on a daily double, like a normal contestant, like, I'll just bring it up, like Bill Patschak would be, because I mean, Alex was a bit of a, taught Bill a little bit before Bill went on, as opposed to, Alex, who's like 80 to 85%. when you're not missing that many daily doubles, of course it makes more sense to bet more. And I'm sure with you, Hunter, you were certainly afraid that, well, I've got a lead here. I don't want to risk giving up that lead, or
And if I
at least give, or at least you don't want to give your opponents an opening.
That's right. And if I recall correctly, there was still a $2,000 question on the board.
Right.
And I was certainly worried that if I fell behind on the daily double, then I don't remember what Stu's score was, but I know Torrey and I were pretty close. And then Torrey could snatch it up and come out ahead and be ahead going into Final Jeopardy, and I really didn't want that. So.
Right.
I think I actually did get that $2,000 one, so that was probably a smart strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I've
I mean,
talked
that
to a few people
obviously
about strategy, and maybe I need to revise mine, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, looking at through your first 3 games, at least from what I'm looking at through my paper here, I think your average daily double bet's around $1,000, which, again, that is a viable strategy in my opinion. If you don't feel like, maybe, I guess, and this will lead into my next question, but if you want to take the daily doubles out of play, then, why wouldn't you bet small on them if you're even,
Arthur Chu did that.
Yeah, Arthur Chu.
Yeah, that's
David
right.
Madden would do that. He'd bet small on the daily double. Just, what? Guess what? My opponent can't use it to get back into the game. Now, my poll of the week question actually has to do with, on the Jeopardy fan this week, has to do with how you feel about daily double hunting, whether you like it or dislike it. My own personal opinion is that as somebody watching, and as somebody who likes to, chart the games, I'll, for example, I've got a piece of paper here that I chart out every game. It makes it easier for me to chart when you're working for 2 to 10, 4 to 12, or 4 to 20. Was daily double hunting something that you guys were thinking about when you were preparing?
Not at all.
I'll echo that. Not at all.
Okay.
Like, I think...
I'm not... Oh, sorry. Before I continue, if you just feel like, keeping your mouth quiet, sort of a just in case, somebody tries to get strategic hints off of you, Hunter. I understand if you don't want to say anything on this question, by the way.
No, I appreciate that giving me that out, but no, it's really the truth. I'm not, I'm not a big strategy guy. My focus is more on just kind of trying to know the knowledge and let the chips fall where they may. And with the exception of some, I obviously try to do the math for Final Jeopardy, and somewhat for the daily doubles. But in terms of daily double hunting, no, I take them where they lie, but I don't make an effort to really. I don't build my gameplay strategy around trying to find them, and so I don't.
Yeah, like, I guess I'm ambivalent towards daily double hunting. Like, I don't mind when people do it, but I also like when people don't do it, it's fine, because, like, it's a viable strategy for some people, but, like, not for others. Like, I know I like to know what the category is before I jump to the really hard questions, because sometimes it's totally not what you think it's going to be. And so I like to see what it is before I might suddenly hit a daily double and then be like, what is this?
Yeah, we do have a daily double, but ours, I had no idea what the category T-Mobile was supposed to be.
And
by the way, cars starting with T's, if you have forgotten.
Yes.
And I don't begrudge anybody, even competitor, playing the game they want to play.
Yeah.
If someone else wants to be a daily double hunter, great. If it works for you and you beat me, then obviously you played a better game than I did, and I applaud that. So yeah, just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean I'm against it. I'm certainly, I wouldn't say that.
and again, yeah, you know what? I would generally agree with, go however you want to go around the board when you've got daily doubles out there that you may want to catch. On the other hand, I like it a lot less when the daily doubles are gone and the hopping around the board continues. That's usually when I have to take one of my big erasers to my entire round and go back on the DVR and rechart the round because where did they just go with that? But
well, that was certainly part of what.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that was certainly part of what made Arthur and I'm being facetious, the villain that he was. So I guess some viewers really don't like that style. But.
Well, I think that again they're the kind of viewers who like to know where the category is going before you get to the difficult questions.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get into a bit of a rhythm and.
Yeah.
One question on the hashtag from Alyssa Flagg. Do former contestants get a lifetime audience pass for any time they are in LA?
No, but
They didn't tell me.
aren't the tickets free anyway, though? I thought they were free.
Well, they're free first come, first serve.
Yeah. I suspect, though, I can't really speak for any official capacity on this, but my thought on this was that alumni probably just would contact the contestant department and say, hey, I'm going to be in town. Is it possible to get, taping tickets or something, or, tickets to a taping sort of thing? But, or at least, some sort of slightly VIP treatment on arrival. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure there are other people who have a better answer to that question than I do. So.
Yes, we are not the people to ask.
Yeah, I honestly
least,
I haven't been to LA since my taping, so.
Well, and this may be a contrarian standpoint. I don't know, a viewpoint, but I kind of feel like we shouldn't get any special treatment. I mean, people are waiting in line to go see the show. We've seen the show. If we wouldn't see it, we can get in line like everybody else.
We lived the show.
We lived the show, that's right.
That's, I mean, again, that's a valid point. Now, both of you were introduced as being originally from on the show. Now, was that kind of just out of more having more affinity towards your hometown and your current location?
For me, it's because I'm in law school in Atlanta right now, so I don't really consider myself from Atlanta, or, I mean, I guess I'm living here, but not really an Atlanta resident. I still have my driver's license and my car registered in Las Vegas, so I guess I consider myself a Las Vegan still.
I think, so my wife is a medical student, and so we don't really have any long-term connection to the city that we call home right now, and in addition, I work in a different city entirely. So I spend the weeks in Charlotte, North Carolina, as opposed to Augusta, Georgia, where we live. So I don't really feel like I belong to either place. And also I feel like my hometown, Mount Airy, North Carolina, could use someone out there saying, "Hey, this place is a good place. It's a worthwhile. It's a small town, and they could use some." Their claim to fame is being Mayberry from the Andy Griffith Show, which is a great show, but it's been a while since they were making new Andy Griffith shows, and I think it'll be a long while before they make any more, considering Andy Griffith's dead. So I felt like I wanted to kind of give a shout out to to the town I grew up in. So I chose to be originally from rather than give any current city.
After my taping, actually, a woman from the audience came up to me and said that she was from Las Vegas too, and that she was really glad that somebody from Las Vegas was on the show. So that was nice.
Yeah.
That is, yeah, I'll concur with that. That is quite nice. So I think you have a member of your cheering section who is tuned in and has tweeted in their Hunter. This question is from Abby Appler. What category from a
Hi,
past
sweetheart.
episode? What category from a past episode do you wish you could have played?
Oh boy. You know, the truth is that through the course, through my run of episodes, I got a lot of categories that were right up my alley that I really was just so thrilled to have, even if I didn't always make the best use of them. So I think I could say there are categories I had that I wish I'd played better, but I can't think of any that I'd seen on TV and thought, I wish I got that, and then didn't get something substantially similar to it. So I was very lucky.
What about you, Torrey?
So I was really hoping I was going to get something on word origins because I majored in classics in college, so I'm pretty good with my Latin and Greek roots, and a lot of people really stumble on that. So,
I presume you've watched Friday's episode then?
I haven't yet. Like I said, I'm having some computer issues and I don't have a TV, so I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I will.
Okay. Well, have fun with Friday's episode.
Oh, I will.
Spoiler alert, there's a word origins category.
Really? Didn't get that at all.
Yes.
And it's a tough one. I think of myself as being pretty good at word origins. It was a tough one.
It's statistically like the category people do the second worst on after sports categories, which is why I was really hoping it was going to come up.
Well, you know what? In terms of incorrect responses on Friday, that word origins category was it was very difficult. It was the players did not take very good advantage of it. We'll say that much.
Well, I'll have to try to find it now, or at least look it up on J Archive.
So, now, Torrey, after you were done Wednesday, I presume you went out and about throughout Los Angeles? Or
Sorry?
After you were done taping your episode, I presume you did not stick around for the final two episodes, the Thursday episode?
I didn't actually. No, because they had, lunch break was going on, and I was actually born in the area, so I went and visited my hometown and had lunch, kind of stuff.
However, Hunter, you had the lovely opportunity to enjoy a lunch in the Sony commissary, and I think the question I ask most often here on Jeopardy Live panel is the famous, what did you have for lunch?
I had a salad that I barely touched. I was in no mood to eat. I was just too nervous. I mean, nervous and excited. But yeah, I did not make use of the full, whatever, $12 voucher they gave me. We were also, I guess
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, we were also hoping to hit some kind of landmark Los Angeles eatery for dinner, so I didn't want to spoil my appetite.
That makes sense. So I guess what landmark Los Angeles eatery did you end up enjoying afterwards?
I think that night we went to, we were hoping to go to Trader Vic's, because I'm a big fan of the Trader Vic's, the establishment, the history, but apparently all that is left of it is a bar in the Beverly Hilton. So we went and got drinks, and then went to the, what was it? Cantor's Deli for dinner, which was great fun. I really enjoyed it.
if I'm not mistaken, I may get him to tell this story at some point, but I think Keith Williams has a Trader Vic's story from the 2004 Tournament of Champions when he was still a few years from being of age. But
Uh-oh.
I will get him to tell that story at the next time he comes on Jeopardy Live panel. I'm sure somebody who's tuning in will remind me. One thing I think you're uniquely positioned to talk about, Hunter, is the difference in camaraderie amongst various taping groups. I get the sense that obviously you were the carryover contestant. Now, I get the sense that this week's group of contestants had a bit more camaraderie than last week's group. Would you say that's true or false?
Well, I'll say that this week's group, certainly in the days and weeks and now months after the taping, really has made an effort to keep in touch. There's been an email, kind of a group email that's been circulating with people, reminiscing or asking other people for their thoughts and impressions and things like that. But at the same time, on my first day of taping, which was last week, there's only one coming in the morning. There's only one returning champ. Everyone else is kind of is new and going through the same experience. And so I felt more that I had more camaraderie with the first day, because on the second day, of course, I'm the returning champ. I'm the one people are, scared of or have their sights on me to take me down, and you're not quite in the same position. So although I think for most of the people, the second week's group had more camaraderie, I felt more camaraderie with the first week, my first week.
So how much do you keep in touch with other contestants from last week?
Well, so I am not much of a Facebook guy. I maintained a Facebook presence purely for professional reasons, because if someone wanted to look me up, I didn't want to be unavailable or absent from the social media universe, but I never really used it. But once my episode started airing, I felt like I ought to get on and accept friend requests and talk to people and things like that. And since I was doing that already, I also began communicating more with other fellow contestants. And I think I chatted with Torrey a little bit, and I posted some stuff in one of the groups for Jeopardy contestants. So I'm still not especially active, but more so than I had been on Facebook otherwise. And it's nice. I mean, I'm not sure I'll keep it up after this is all over, but maybe I will.
Now, Torrey, do you have anything to contribute about your group's camaraderie last week?
I don't. We had some of us definitely had camaraderie. I felt more like there were. It's gonna sound weird, but it was almost like there were like subgroups within our groups. Like there were definitely like the younger women, the older men. It was an interesting. But that could have just been me. So.
That makes sense. Okay. To kind of move things off on a bit of a tangent. Obviously, I mean, if you've been paying attention to the website, you'll know that I've been recapping Ken Jennings' old games. Now, that was 12 years ago. Back when they happened, did you guys pay much attention to Ken Jennings' winning streak?
I did. I definitely remember it. To be fair, I wouldn't have gotten H&R Block either, so feel a lot of sympathy for him there. Yeah, I was in high school then. I did what we call in Las Vegas Varsity Quiz, the Quiz Bowl competition, so I was definitely keeping up with it.
What about you, Hunter?
I was in college at the time, and it was something that I was not keeping up with it in the way that I kept up with Jeopardy in later years, but it was certainly something I'd watch a night or two a week, and of course it was just, even if I wasn't following Ken Jennings per se, it was amazing to watch him continue to go night after night, week after week. So I was certainly impressed.
And at least going back through watching his games, he played a very similar game to you, in that he did not hunt around for daily doubles, and he just he played them as they came about. And I mean, it worked for him, I would say, because again, he was so dominating on the buzzer that his opponents barely were able to get a word, barely able to get a word in edgewise. But
Is that your landline again?
yes, I'm not entirely sure who's phoning. Not at this time of night, but I'm sure somebody else will pick it up. I do apologize. Oh, good. Somebody did pick it up. Great. Okay. Now, Aria, you obviously being younger, you've got a different perspective. What perspective do you take to Ken Jennings' run?
Well, I was not, like, I didn't follow it very much because I was really, like, too young to really be into Jeopardy a lot. I don't remember if, my family ever watched it, honestly. Like, I'm sure they did a few times, especially since we were living in Utah at that time, and Ken Jennings was from Salt Lake at that point. But I honestly just remember later, like, when I was actually, like, wanting to get on, I was, like, I was hearing about, like my parents told me the story of, like, Ken Jennings because I hadn't remembered, and then I was sort of like, ooh, like I kind of used it as a motivator, I guess, but I don't really have any memories of his actual run because I don't really think I was interested at that time.
Makes sense. So, both you, Torrey and Hunter, where did you guys audition?
I auditioned in Atlanta. Very convenient.
Yep. I'm guessing that would have been last June?
Yes, it was last June.
Okay.
Yeah, just about a year ago.
Mm-hmm. And were you also Atlanta, Hunter? Or were you
No,
a different city?
I was in Savannah, Georgia, which I guess I imagine Atlanta was an option. I think we actually did my wife and I did make kind of a little trip out of it, going to Savannah and enjoying Savannah as its own lovely little city. So I think that's probably why we chose Savannah.
And once you got the call, what sort of preparation did you do?
The call to be on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I started going through watching old games, reading old questions, doing some statistical analysis. One of the first things I did actually is I cut my nails.
Okay.
Because I normally keep fairly long nails, and I was working on doing the buzzer, and I realized that when holding the buzzer, my nails are cutting into my palm.
Ow. Okay. Yeah. That's another thing I've never heard before, but yeah, a very important consideration.
Mm-hmm.
I studied sort of the only way I know how to study these days is the same way I studied through law school and I guess for the bar exams as well, which was I made outlines. I went to the library. I checked out sort of those survey type books, the Idiot's Guide to World Religions or U.S. History for Dummies, that kind of thing. And I spent a few afternoons reading those and making outlines. I kind of thought if it's something I've never heard of before, it's probably too obscure to be on Jeopardy. So I was looking for stuff that was mostly, I kind of remember that from grade school. Maybe not quite, but that may have come up in college. And those are the things I put on my study guides, and I just made a big binder of outlines and studied those.
I was not nearly that prepared.
Now, I'm also thinking you were going through school, right? So obviously you had to worry about your coursework as well. So that probably had something to do, something to do with your less preparation. I would say would that be correct?
That would partly be true. I did have spring break in there, so that was nice. Didn't really have to worry about school.
Okay, moving on to my next question that I generally ask of everyone. Now, I might have you might have touched a little bit on this with your answer to the Ken Jennings question, but I had Sarah Edwards on here a few weeks ago, and she asked a question in the open session at the end that I really enjoyed, and I started asking some other people about it. Essentially, what it boils down to is, her theory is that, everyone generally who's been on the show has that kind of moment where they have kind of fallen in love with Jeopardy. And I guess what I'm going to ask you guys is kind of what caused you when you were younger to fall in love with Jeopardy?
I like knowing things is really what it comes down to.
Same.
I don't really remember a particular moment. I just always remember being enamored of trivia and trivia competitions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way. Certainly, I like knowing things. I can point to something particular to Jeopardy though, and I can't say that I wouldn't have come to Jeopardy without this. But I remember being a kid, being at my grandparents' house, and I think there was nobody else in the room. I was watching TV and I was watching Jeopardy. And the question, and in my recollection, it was Final Jeopardy. I've gone back to J archives, and I can't prove it, so I might be wrong. But there's a question about a gemstone, and I had been reading a book on gemstones. It was those, I don't know if you all remember the eyewitness books. It were these big white glossy picture books, and because I'd been reading it, I saw the answer in that book and was able to answer correctly, and I was so proud of myself. I don't know, maybe 10 years old, and that was sort of the first memory I have of Jeopardy, and the one that still sticks in my mind.
That's a much better story than mine.
Yeah, I guess for me, I always liked trivia.
Yeah.
I actually, when I started, when I took the online test, I didn't actually watch the show that much. But I think it was right. So when I got the email that said I was going to have an audition, I started to do games on the J archive, and I started watching a lot more. And that was when I kind of got into it. And I think also there was a kids week around that time or something that I saw, and obviously I was a little bit better at those questions than I was at the adult ones, and I enjoyed seeing kids week of the teen tournament and stuff, so that kind of got me into it a lot. And then around that same time was when Roger Craig was on and stuff like that, so I his run was really exciting to watch because he broke all the records. So
do you remember, so you sorry, Hunter, I didn't quite get your answer to that, about which gemstone it was. Do you remember which gemstone it was?
I think it was the Star of India.
Oh, okay, because I think I might have found the Final Jeopardy you were referring to.
Oh, really?
Back from the because I don't know if you realized this, but the website actually has, they call it Infinite Final Jeopardy, and they have a whole bunch of old finals. And it looks like there's one from '93 here. The Star of Africa is a diamond, and the Star of India is one of these.
Oh, so it was a sapphire.
Yes.
That's the one, and '93 would put me around 10 years old, so yeah. Wow.
Wow.
I wonder if that game is actually in J Archive, or if they just happen to have collected that Final Jeopardy. Because when Infinite Final Jeopardy came in, somebody on the J Archive team, I think they basically tried, got as many of those as they could off of the site, and then went into the and then kind of put them somewhere on the archive site. I'm not entirely sure where, but okay, yes, that game actually is not in the that full game is not in fact in the J archive. It's just one of those
Okay.
collected Final Jeopardies.
Mm.
So okay, well, there we have it, 1993. It's funny because I also used that to find at one point my again the first Final Jeopardy that I remember getting. Back it was about the Olympics back in
Nice.
around 1990. If I remember correctly, it asked for the sorry, I'm going back.
Is it weird that I don't remember the first Final Jeopardy
Yeah.
that I got? Like, that's a thing that I really remember at all.
Sorry, yeah. Going back, I think it might have been 1991. At that point, it's the only the clue was it's the only city in the southern hemisphere to host the Olympics.
Mm.
And I was a
That was
big fan of the
before
world. That was before Sydney, and of
Before
course before
Sydney.
Rio.
Rio, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I was a big fan of the World Almanac. So when I was much younger. My next question kind of has to do a little bit about tonight's interview segment with between Alex and Hunter. So I've got. I'm going to open with first of all. You've won a whole bunch of money, Hunter. I presume you're not going to jinx anything by my asking this question, but do you have any plans for the money?
No, at this point, I think the question's safe. Well, first of all, of course, I haven't seen the check yet, so it's sort of one of these. I'll believe it when I see it. But my plans are, we certainly want to do some traveling. My wife and I want to do some traveling. I think Easter Island is top of our list of places to visit. I've always been fascinated by the Big Moai, and I think I'll probably put a fair amount of it in savings. It's nice to have that sort of weight of the future lifted a little bit, of how to pay for retirement lifted a little bit. So I think that's probably what we'll do.
And obviously, now for those of you who might not have seen the episode who are on the West Coast, Alex and Hunter talk about, I guess, how you and your wife have a crazy superstition that
she has a crazy superstition. It's not my superstition. Her superstition.
She has the crazy superstition about how people who talk about the money lose immediately in that game where they talk about the money. So, do any of you guys, or if you're listening in, what are your crazy Jeopardy superstitions? Do you guys have any others?
I mean, I'm a Jeopardy loser, so I don't really have superstitions.
Yeah, I don't really think. I mean, I got one of my lucky numbers from Jeopardy because I got a clue right that like the answer was 231, and so like that's one of my lucky numbers now. But I mean, other than that, no.
I'll say that I got some online hate for having my left hand in my pocket, and the reason I have my left hand in my pocket is because I have a lucky coin, and so I had my left hand on my lucky coin during most of my episodes. So
yeah. You know what? Hey, that counts. That definitely counts. And I'll be honest. I will personally. I don't listen to what half of Twitter says anyway. I mean, it's their and they say a lot of stupid things sometimes. Often often they get they seemed the internet seemed to get a little bit uppity about Tuesday's Final Jeopardy and how it was advantageous to Stu, but
them's the breaks.
Yes. I'm just going to go out on a limb there, and I'm going to say I actually thought that was a very easy Final Jeopardy question. I don't think you had to be a helicopter pilot to figure out it was MASH.
Huh.
Now, do you watch a lot of MASH,
yeah.
Torrey?
I actually watch very little MASH.
Okay. I watched a fair amount of it, so it was easy to me, but that's maybe because I saw the show, but I didn't know if you'd seen the show a lot or not.
Yeah.
I got it.
I have. Yeah.
I don't really watch the show at all, but I wasn't really sure of my answer. I just said it because, like, what else would it be? I figured it was, like, going to be, like, some sort of military doctor type show, so I was like...
Well, that is what MASH is.
I mean, what other show is there?
Yeah. Well, I think my first instinct was the significantly more obscure Airwolf.
Airwolf, yeah.
And then I realized, wait a second, Jeopardy is not going to be asking about Airwolf. So that's when about 5 seconds in, it's like, oh, wait a second, what will they? Yes, MASH. They will ask you about MASH. And this is coming from someone, I have seen every single episode of MASH. So you'd think I would have come to it immediately, but it took me a few seconds. I still got there. But by the way, your wife is defending the fact that we're calling it a crazy superstition on Twitter right now. It's not she's saying it's not a crazy superstition. It has happened multiple times.
Doesn't anybody screen these comments?
I get to screen the comments.
No, okay. She's right. Okay, she might be right.
Is Abby there with you?
No, she's not. I'm in a different city as Abigail.
Okay.
But
because I just got like this image of her sitting next to you on the couch, like angrily tweeting all things.
Well, Torrey, that wouldn't be the first time that somebody sat beside a panelist and started tweeting angrily. But
no, but she is a scientist, and so I trust she knows the difference between correlation and causation, and the fact there might be a correlation between the point at which Alex finds that a reasonable question to answer, and people going out because they've been playing for a while might not be the same as Alex asking that question, them answering it, and that causing them to go out. So.
Also, as a medical student, has she done any statistical analysis, and what are the p-values?
I love that question.
I think
Why?
She's up to her neck in analyses. She doesn't need to throw Jeopardy analyses on top of it.
Who wouldn't want to do Jeopardy analysis?
You're making me want to go back and search through all the interviews that are logged in J-Archive to actually figure out when Alex asks, so what are you going to do with the money? And then find out the contestants' various records on that.
It would be interesting.
Beware that that might be stat of the week in a week in review in a couple of weeks.
I'd actually be very interested in hearing that.
I can't wait.
Before I open the floor, I guess I have one more question. Anna did a newspaper interview up here in which she mentioned that she wouldn't be watching her game, and she may not be watching for a while. Do you find that, are you thinking, you're going to keep watching Jeopardy? I mean, obviously, your tech issues aside, Torrey, but...
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What about you, Hunter?
You know, I did not watch much after taping until last week. I watched some of the Power Players because I'm a big fan of Louis C.K. But it was a little it felt a little raw. I mean, even though I was very pleased with the outcome, it was kind of a mixture of emotions watching it. There was some missing it. There was some anxiety. So I was not ready to watch again, but I fully intend to start watching again. Maybe I just won't stop now after my episodes are done.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Have either of you had any viewing parties?
Any what?
Viewing parties for your episodes?
No, I don't have a TV, so I didn't really have a way to really do it. My sister kind of had a viewing party.
Okay. And you, Hunter?
Well, because I work in a different city than the one in which I live, I don't have a TV at my work apartment, but my office has TVs in the break room and a TV in the lobby. So on Wednesday we had an office viewing party, and
Nice.
a few of my coworkers came out, and we did. I kind of have a reputation for wearing Hawaiian shirts on Fridays, so they made it a Hawaiian-themed Jeopardy viewing party,
Ooh.
which was which was funny. It was a good time. And then Friday was the first time I was able to go back home to watch it with my wife and my friends back in Georgia, and so we had a viewing party there as well, which included we invited the hosts of our pub trivia night because of their integral role in preparing me, whether they knew it or not, my appearance. So they came along too.
Well, that's nice. So at this point, my note card is out of questions. So at this point, I'm going to open it up to you guys. If you have any random questions for anyone else on the panel, or even me, feel free to ask. And I hear crickets. So in that case, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in tonight, tweeting in with questions. You guys for coming on. I guess I thought, by the way, I thought you played very, considering how Hunter has done so far, I thought you played very well against him, Torrey.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, congratulations on your win so far, Hunter. And you're, I don't know what date the show has in mind for a Tournament of Champions, but I know I would you're looking good on the Tournament of Champions list at this point, so I would say you may want to look at, possibly thinking about studying for that.
I'm thinking about it.
Do you still have your binders of outlines?
I'm sorry?
Do you still have your binders of outlines?
I do, yes.
Binders full of outlines, yes. So, yes, for everyone here at the JeopardyFan.com and Jeopardy Live panel, thank you for tuning in. By the way, once again, the audio simulcast is available on iTunes as well as Google Play Music. So if you prefer to consume your things audio as opposed to video, then you can subscribe and download from there. So thank you very much. If you're going to be listening in, you'll hear the credits very shortly. So for everyone here on Jeopardy Live panel, the next one, by the way, we are taping on Sunday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern. It should be a good one. I suspect that I am going to have quite a few of this week's contestants who are available to take part. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. So thank you guys for tuning in and taking part. I'm Andy Saunders. For everyone else here, have a great night.